It's that time for your favorite show of the week, the NFC West Huddle. And if it's not your favorite show, just humor me, pretend, right? Because this is my story, and I'm sticking to it. This is the show where we go around the NFC West and check on the different markets and find out what they're thinking about the upcoming matchups and the division as a whole, right? Over in San Francisco, we got our guy, Frank Malakote. In L.A., it's Gerard Moncure. He still thinks the Lakers won, even though they got beat by the Spurs. But you know how they are in L.A., right? They think they win everything because they're used to winning everything. And over in Seattle, it's my man, Pots and Pans, Aaron Levine, the Aaron Levine, who was on Jeopardy. Man, Aaron, I got to give you props. You made us sports guys look kind of smart. I even wrote it in my diary. We're going straight to the diary right away. I wrote it in my diary. I said, look, Aaron Levine, I called you A.A. Ron. I said, you are the man. I mean, you're absolutely fantastic. So thanks for making us look smart. That's Stanford education, right? I'm Richard Science here in Arizona, representing the Cardinals and the Chimichangas, my fantasy football team. That's the number 3 seed and going to the playoffs. So Chimichangas are doing good. Arizona Cardinals, not so much, right? All right, let's get right to it. Let's preview the upcoming week, right? Let's check out the games over in L.A. Let's start with you, Gerard. It's Jared Goff and the Lions taking on the Rams, and oh boy, for a while there, you guys were looking like a juggernaut, but you lose to Carolina. Now you guys look a little human out there. There's a chink in the armor, or will the Rams get back on track?
Well, as we were talking about a little while ago pre-show, this is the 4th installment of the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade saga. The Rams won the first one. Lions have won the last 2, including a playoff game. So there's always that storyline surrounding this game, although neither quarterback wants to talk about it. The two teams are so similar. I mean, when you look at some of the stat lines on this game, the Lions are 3rd in offense, 30 points a game. The Rams are 4th, 29 points a game. The Rams are 3rd in passing. Detroit is 5th. Detroit is 5th in rushing. The Rams are 11th. This is really going to come down to which defense can step up. It's going to end up being a one-score game for sure. That's how they've all have been. And, basically going to come down to, can Sean McVay or Dan Campbell make the right call? Can Matthew Stafford or Jared Goff make the right play? Of course, I'm going to take Stafford and McVay in that situation anytime. But this has turned into be one of the best interdivision rivalries in the NFL since this trade took place. There's always beef now between Rams fans and Lions fans, and there's a lot of talk heading into this game. But for the Lions, they've got 10 days rest coming in. They are fighting for their playoff lives. They're in the 8th spot. For the Rams, they are fighting for the top seed in the NFC. They've got Seattle on the back end coming up in a short week. So this is a dire game for the Rams to win at home, and they've got to stop the run. They cannot let David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs went crazy. That's how they lost the Carolina game, Richard. They got to stop the run, and that's going to be the key. If they stop the run, they make the right calls. Give me Matthew Stafford in this big-time NFC game every day of the week.
Yeah, that's a big-time game for sure. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm sure a lot of Seattle Seahawks fans are going to be watching that game. So, yeah, Aaron, over there in Seattle, things are kind of lining up for you guys because, the Rams lose to Carolina. They got a tough matchup with the Lions before you guys play them next week. But first things first, and that's a Colts team that's kind of limping now with Indiana Jones, right? Daniel Jones out. Phillip Rivers, 44. We'll get to that in a minute. But you got to feel good heading into this matchup, right?
Well, I mean, Richard, listen, you said if Geno Smith was not that guy, and as you said at the start of the year, Sam Darnold really not that guy, I can't wait to hear what you think about 44-year-old Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement to play for the Colts this week. Listen, I understand if he's 1 or 2 years removed from the NFL, but this guy's close to 5 years removed from the league. He's a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class for next year. But when he's activated this week, he won't be eligible for the Hall of Fame for another 5 years. He resets that clock. It's absolutely shocking to me that he would do this. Then again, if I had 10 kids, I might need to get out of the house also, so I don't blame him. More on him in a second. Either way, this game comes down to the ability of the Seahawks to stop Jonathan Taylor. The Hawks have now gone 22 straight games without allowing a 100-yard rusher. Take care of Jonathan Taylor. This game should be fairly straightforward. Seattle favored by 2 touchdowns. The ideal situation would be to build a big lead, get your starters out by the 4th quarter, and rest them because they have that huge game against the Rams 4 days later.
All right, be careful. Looking forward to next week. You handle your business first, right? Over in San Francisco, you got Tennessee, a team you guys should beat, Frank. But I'm going to guess you're rooting for the Rams to beat the Lions because you're battling them for the playoffs. We'll talk about that next segment. But first thing first, and that's winning against the Titans.
Yeah, well, they've got, 4 games remaining with Indy, Chicago, and that big matchup with Seattle in Week 18. They got to beat the Titans. And by the way, the Titans only have 2 wins. One of them was last week against Cleveland. Who was the other one, Richard? Do you remember? I guess not. It was against your Cardinals, by the way. So they're going up against a team that's 2-11. They should win this game handily. They're coming off a bye, the latest bye, Week 14, and boy, did they need it. They're actually coming into this game with only 6 guys on the injury list, and I remember when they'd have 18, 19, or 20 on it. Purdy's foot got another rest. He came out against Carolina, threw the 3 picks, but he looked very good in the win against Cleveland on the road in some cold weather. I think he's going to be good. They've won 4 of 5, and you know what to say about football. Playoff football, when you start playing your best football in late November and late December, mid-December, well, you're on your way. And I think the Niners should win this one handily. We'll be rooting for those Lions to beat the Rams, of course, and Seattle and Indy. That should be someone's going to lose one of those games, I'm hoping. So hopefully the Niners can move up. I think it's going to be Christian McCaffrey all the way, run him probably 25 times, win this game handily, and see what unfolds against Indy and that dinosaur of a quarterback on a Monday night game in a week and a half.
Well, I'm glad you said Christian McCaffrey because he's on my chimichanga, so that's good. But I'm still writing it in my diary. Shots fired by Frank talking smack about the Cardinals losing to the Titans. That would hurt. That would hurt, man.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You were quiet.
Funny to see.
Not a peep.
For the first time, right? For the first time, I was at a loss for words. But yeah, it's crazy to see, the Cardinals taking on the Houston Texans, 2 franchises heading in different directions. Cardinals in the middle of a 5-game losing streak, their second 5-game losing streak of the season. The Texans on a 5-game win streak, and they just made that trade a couple of years ago where the Texans traded up to get Will Anderson. Cardinals traded down. They got Darius Robinson. They got 2 picks in the first round, Darius Robinson and Paris Johnson Jr. And then you're looking like, wow, the Texans are improving every year. The Cardinals obviously taking not just a step back, several step back. So we'll see. Before the season started, I thought this was a winnable game, but now it's kind of tough for the Cardinals. They're going to have to find a way to win one of them, right? We'll get to that a little bit, next week maybe. But coming up in the next segment, we'll talk about playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, we're not talking playoffs here in Arizona. More on that coming up after the break. Talking NFL playoffs everywhere but here in Arizona, right? Playoffs? Yeah, that's my Jim Mora, right? Yeah, we're talking playoffs. 3 teams from the division can make the playoffs. Of course, the Arizona Cardinals, they are not. I guarantee you the Cardinals will not be in the playoffs. If I ever guarantee anything on this show, the Cardinals will not be in the playoffs, right? Let's go back out to Frank. Frank, we were kind of touching on you guys becoming, Lions fans this weekend because I'm sure you want them to be. You're battling the Bears and the Lions for a wild card spot, but you only 1 game out of the division, so you guys are definitely in the mix.
Oh, yeah. No, we're big Lions fans this week. I used to work in Detroit. I love the Lions, so I hope they do a number on those Rams down there. Really, we're talking wild card. If the Niners can win 2 of their last 4 games, they're in the playoffs no matter what. So let's start with Tennessee this weekend. It should be an easy no-brainer. 12.5-point favorite. They should walk away with this game. But you did make a good point. Division, they got a shot at it. They're only a game back. 4-1 divisional record. The Rams have a 3-1 mark, and the Rams still have to play Seattle next week. That'll be fun. The Niners, of course, play Seattle in that finale, so we can take care of them there and see what happens. But the Rams definitely have to lose 1 more game for that to happen. I did mention Brock Purdy. He's healthy. For once in a blue moon, this team coming out of a bye, it couldn't have happened at a better time. They're healthy. They're playing. They've won 4 or 5, as mentioned, and 3 in a row. I think they're going to win this one easily. I think they will be in the playoffs, and I think a lot of teams are not going to want to play this team because they're determined and playing some of their best football right now.
Gerard, over there in L.A., you guys had a little bit of a bump in the road with the Panthers, but the Rams still control their own destiny, and that's what you want at this point in the season.
Absolutely. You know, they've got to take care of business against the Lions, as we've already talked about, and then they've got the trip up to Aaron in Seattle, which is going to be a tough game on a short week for the Rams. But the difference in the Rams' playoff positioning with what can happen over the next 2 weeks is massive. You win the next 2 games, you're probably going to win not only the division, but you're going to win the top seed in the NFC. So the road to Super Bowl 60, Levi Stadium, will travel through SoFi first. And that is massive because the Rams don't want to have to go to Green Bay. They don't want to end up somehow in Philadelphia again in the snow. If they have to play the Seahawks for a 3rd time, you don't want to have to play that game in Seattle. There are so many playoff implications surrounding the next 2 games, and the Rams know this, but it's about stacking days, as Sean McVay would say, and winning what's in front of you, and that is the Detroit Lions. That's the first task on hand. Get Jared Goff off his spots, make him a moving passer, which is his weakness, control the run, and let Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams go to work. You win the next 2, you're in where you want to be.
You can just feel the confidence from Gerard through the screen, right? I mean, this guy, all he does is win. So, Aaron, we haven't been on the show at the same time in a while. Yeah. And I'm all in on Sam Darnold now, you know. I put it in my diary a while ago. I said, look, this is where I'm going with. Anybody but L.A. So, save us, Seattle. You're like Obi-Wan. You're our only hope. Tell us how you guys not only get into the playoffs, but win the division and knock the Rams down a notch, please.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to that Thursday night football game after 4 days after they beat the Colts. Right now, NFL.com gives the Seahawks a 98% chance of making the playoffs, 99% if they win this week, only a 93% chance if they lose. So it's still looking good. I'm feeling very good about that. So I think it comes down to that Thursday night game against the Rams. If they beat them there, and then it could potentially come down to that season finale in San Francisco. I kind of want to use this platform right now, though, to stump for Mike Macdonald as NFL Head Coach of the Year and John Schneider for Executive of the Year. This is a team that Vegas had finishing last in the division, a team whose over-under was 8.5 wins. The over cashed 2 weeks ago with 5 games left. One website notably predicted the Seahawks to go 4-13 this season. To be Coach of the Year, you don't have to be a first-year head coach that turns a franchise around. I know Ben Johnson's done a great job in Chicago, but it shouldn't be a prerequisite. McDonald's already matched last season's win total, and if he is able to lead the Seahawks to a divisional title and a top seed in the NFC, and that is a big if, he should get strong consideration for the award. And on the same note, Schneider has never been named Executive of the Year despite those 2 Super Bowl seasons. In fact, a Seahawks representative has not won that award since 1978. The Mariners have had 2 Executive of the Year award winners in the last 25 years with just 3 playoff appearances and no World Series appearances. And the Hawks have not had a winner in 47 years. Guys, make that make sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know what I think, Aaron, they're going to give you a luxury suite for the rest of the year after that little speech.
That's what I'm stumping for. That is why I'm appearing on the show this week, clearly.
Give this guy a statue. Hey, when it comes to the Cardinals in the playoffs, when you lose 10 of your last 11 and have 2 5-game losing streaks in the same season, it's like the Cologne Sex Panther. 40% of the time, it works every time, and you're going to miss the playoffs every time that happens, right? So no playoffs for the Cardinals. So that's my rant right there. That's how quick this is, right? Coming up in the next segment, we're talking 44-year-old Philip Rivers coming back. Don't call it a comeback. We come back after the break. And we are back, and yeah, guess who else is back? Philip Rivers. Who? Philip Rivers. He's back from the dead, back from retirement. Aaron, you mentioned he's got 10 kids, so maybe he wants to get out of the house. Maybe he needs the money, right? The Colts needed a quarterback. They bring back Phillip Rivers at 44 years old. And the Colts play the NFC West not once, but twice. Frank, you guys are going to get a shot at the Colts. What do you think about the 44-year-old Phillip Rivers coming back? Can he lead them to victory?
I don't care. I'm going to watch that game, though. I think that's must-see TV. I honestly thought it was a joke at first. I mean, he's eligible for the Hall of Fame and is a semifinalist. And as Aaron said, the clock ticks back 5 years if he gets on the active roster, whether he plays or not. He's, golly, father of 10. He's got a grandchild, for crying out loud. I did a deep dive. George Blanda played well into his 40s, but mostly as a kicker were the Raiders. We know what Tom Brady did. Vinny Testaverde played till he was 44. But a deeper dive. Steve DeBerg, you may remember him. Played for the Niners, a bunch of teams prior to San Jose State. He retired at age 39. He, too, came back at age 44 and played in 8 games with the Atlanta Falcons, threw 3 touchdowns, a pick. Played in 8 games, though, at that age. That's pretty remarkable. 14 players on the Colts played 5 years ago when Phillip Rivers was still on the team. So there's some familiarity there. But you got to love it. I love his sense of humor in the press conference, talking about his weight and all that kind of thing. I think he's just going to give it a college try, and I'm going to be watching that game big time.
Gerard, what do you think? You think that Phillip Rivers can help the Rams out by beating the Seahawks if he gets in the game?
What I think is it's not fair that the Niners and the Seahawks are getting this beat-up Indy team, and the Rams had to beat the good Indy team earlier in the year, and they barely got through that game. I'm fascinated by this. I mean, this is a guy that played 16 years with the Chargers, one with Indy, completed 67% of his passes. He's not going to be able to move around in the pocket if he plays. But I think a veteran, savvy guy, an old coyote-like, guy that can see the field might be able to recognize that fantastic Seattle defense that basically covers up coverages and he might be able to pick up blitzes and make the right calls at the line of scrimmage. I think it could be a fascinating matchup. I'm not expecting him to go in there and throw 4 touchdowns against the Seattle defense, but I think what he will do is give Indy some confidence. If he is the quarterback and it's not Riley Leonard, the young guy, all you want, I think, as an NFL player is to have a shot on any given Sunday. And I think that the guys will get behind him, and it's going to be fascinating TV, must-see TV on Sunday for sure up in Seattle.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does at 44 years old. I kind of feel sorry. You mentioned Riley Leonard, finally getting his chance, and then, I know he's banged up a little bit. But also, Cam Newton's not happy. Cam Newton's 36. He's been begging to get back into the league. But I know Phillip Rivers has some familiarity with the Colts. So, Aaron, what do you think? Are you nervous at all about the experience of Phillip Rivers, or you think, hey, this is a lock for Seattle?
Yeah, no, not very nervous, even though Phillip Rivers is 3-1 lifetime against the Seahawks, and I will keep that in mind as we go into this game. I honestly think if he gets in, he'll get his feet wet this week. Hopefully the Seahawks don't hurt the guy too bad, but then he'll be so determined to rebound from getting smoked in Seattle, he'll put on a heroic effort on Monday Night Football next week at home against the 49ers. Probably not going to happen, but we can dream, right? Listen, it's not every day that a private high school has to release a statement about their head coach's opportunity to play in the NFL again. But that's what we saw from St. Michael Catholic School in Alabama. It's a wonderful story, but guys, this is the NFL. I'm around the same age. 44 is apparently too old to find sustained success on Jeopardy, let alone the NFL. I was the 3rd oldest contestant in the Tournament of Champions this year. So I give Phillip Rivers credit for playing in the NFL again. I'm not sure, though, that the juice is worth the squeeze on this one to come out of retirement, extend that Hall of Fame timeline. I think he's primed for a rude awakening coming back. And not surprisingly, I just honestly don't think it's going to happen this week or next week.
Yeah, I know what you mean, right? 44, Gerard probably thinks he can still play in the NBA, but yeah, I just think the beating his body's going to take, You know, it's tough. Look, my ankle started hurting just walking from the sports office to here. I didn't even do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, I could just imagine what it's going to be like for Phillip Rivers. But I think, you know, what he can do is helping, you know, the rest of the team, you know, prepare for a tough defense like Seattle. Gerard kind of mentioned it, that, you know, this Seattle defense is tough. And it's not like he doesn't know anything about the Colts and their offense. He has familiarity with Shane Steichen, the head coach. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I do want to ask real quick, if you could put one NFC West player on the top of your tree as a star, who would it be? Quickly, give me some names. Who would be the star on the top of your tree from the NFC West?
Well, for me, it's Matthew Stafford
Frank,
for sure.
first.
I mean, without a doubt.
Stafford in L.A. Who you got in San Francisco, Frank?
I'll give Stafford an honorable mention, Puka Nacua too, but I'd put McCaffrey on the top of my tree. If it weren't for him, this team would not be on a playoff push right now.
Aaron, other than you, who would be on the top of the tree there as a star out in Seattle?
Definitely not me. I would actually listen. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Sam Darnold, Devin Witherspoon, Ernest Jones IV. They're all candidates. I think we put Big Cat at the top of the tree. Leonard Williams. He's been one of the most dominant interior defensive linemen in the league the last couple of years. I'm giving it to Big Cat.
Well, I think you should be on the top of the tree after what you did on Jeopardy and making us sports guys look halfway smart. So yeah, you're my choice in Seattle. I know a lot of people would think I would pick Christian McCaffrey because he's done so well this year, especially for my chimichangas. But I'm going to go with a wild card here. I'm going to say Michael Wilson, another Stanford guy, Aaron. So I think you'll agree with me on this one, because he's been absolutely fantastic. In the last 4 games, he's had 39 catches, over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's proven that he could be a #1 wideout. He got a chance when Marvin Harrison Jr. went out. Next thing you know, he is exploding and bursting onto the scene, and I think he's putting some stuff on tape for that next contract. So he would be my star of the show, you know, not just the show, but on the top of the tree. You guys are the star of this show. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. Guess what? The Cardinals still won't be in the playoff chase next week, but we'll still be here. So thanks for joining us. See you guys next week. I'm putting it in my diary. Frank talking smack. Have a good one,
There
guys.
you go. Bring it on. Thanks, guys.